We are the Matea Group of Keller Williams Realty. We enjoy the diverse community that we serve and the lifestyle that Maine has to offer. We'll be talking all things real estate and Maine. Welcome to the Maine Real Estate Show.
I actually thought this week could be a good chance to take maybe one step back from that, leading up to the State of the Market show, to talk a little bit about the process.
Right.
This is the time of the year, and you mentioned it, a lot of buyers are thinking about buying, a lot of sellers are thinking about selling. And we always get the first question of, well, how does this work? What do I do? So
Sure.
let's start off on the buyer side, Jeff. So you've worked with a few buyers over the years.
Yeah.
If somebody's sitting at home right now thinking, this is the year I'm going to buy that house, or somebody that's currently in a house that knows I need to make that next step. If somebody's thinking that, what's the first step?
Yeah. Well, the most important is to understand what you can afford. Starting out, I knew, I would take any buyer out. This is, 18 years ago. Buyer says, well, I want to see that house. And we didn't really pre-qualify. We just said, right, let's go jump in our car, go unlock the door, show them the house, see if they like it. Well, then a couple of those instances, person's like, well, I don't know, it's kind of out of my price range. Well, what do you mean? I thought that you called on a house that you could afford. And so you actually have to pedal back a little bit and help them understand. So the best step to take is to get pre-qualified, pre-approved, what, different lenders call them differently. Yep. So we'll call it pre-qualification. So that's where you speak with a local lender over the phone or in person. We like local because then even if over the phone you have a question, you can actually meet them face to face at their desk, at the bank, or at their mortgage office. And you provide them with your financial information. So it's all about debt to income. So they're going to pull your credit. So it's a soft pull in most cases. They take your social security number and pull credit to see, well, what credit do you have outstanding? What's been offered to you? And how are you doing in paying that down? Are you timely? Are you, paying credit cards off in full? Do or do you carry a big balance, et cetera? And so they take that as well as your income. So you're stating what you make, where income's coming from, what's your employment situation look like. So they like to see that consistency.
Sure.
And from there, they give you, based on your debt to income ratio, what additional debt, meaning a home loan, can you take on such that you could afford this payment in addition to the others that you have. And, some situations, maybe your credit score might not be great. So they might encourage you to work with your other lines of credit or, debt to get that, improve that. So you might need some time. So it's good to start there. They'll deliver to you an amount. So let's just arbitrarily say $300,000. So John Doe is pre-qualified now for $300,000 based on the information that was given. And then they'll say, well, right, monthly payment will all be based on taxes and insurance in that area. So we don't know quite what that will be yet until you actually identify a property.
Sure.
But at least now I can afford $300,000. That's the max. Probably want to look a little bit under that, also knowing offers going above asking. Right. So we'll work off of $300,000. The next step will then to be talking to a real estate agent or interviewing agents that work the area that you would like to look in.
Sure.
From there, you're going to sit down with them, and this could also be on the phone or in person, is to go through their criteria. What do you absolutely need in a home? What would be nice to have or like to,
sure.
And what are some of the wants and needs, and kind of massage that into, well, here's now how we will look for a home. So you'll set up a search, your realtor will set up a search, and you'll both be, perusing MLS, Zillow, Redfin, all the, crazy websites, and seeing stuff as they come on, and then calling your agent to say, I'd like to see this property.
Yep. And then in the meantime, as a buyer's agent, you're also looking for things that might be off market,
right,
or looking at maybe areas they targeted to see if you can find a home for them. It's not just them sitting back on Zillow and you waiting for them to call.
Yeah, it's a juggling act, right? There's going to be times where folks who are desperately in need of a home will have their phone and it'll buzz every time a new alert comes that tells them. So they've got email, texts. Right? Our society now is instant gratification, instant information, and that need. So there's folks that may even see it before their real estate agent sees it, and that's quite okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Because also understand, like, they're looking specifically for them. A real estate agent may be looking for 20, 30 different buyers at any given point in time. So when that meets the criteria, you find a home, you alert your real estate agent, so the buyer agent that you're working with, that you'd like to see that home, and what is your schedule look like? When can you see that home? Because now know that limited availability for showings, or there's an offer deadline, et cetera. And that real estate agent can then send you the disclosures, dig up some stuff about the, from the assessment, what happened when they last purchased it, has photos online changed, what do they do for upgrades? So then you can back into, okay, we really like that. Or do we have questions about the area? How close is it to X, Y, and Z? We would encourage, if the time is suitable for, making an offer and getting in to see the home, is to try to do a drive-by as well. Because it's important that, you don't want to waste your time or your realtor's time, or even the listing agent or the seller. Is if you're, setting up a showing and then you go to it and it's like, well, it's too far from work, or we didn't know that there was something across the street that we didn't like, or it's tough to back out of the driveway because it's a busy road, or there's a dump across the street, whatever.
Sure.
Just to save that time so that you're not taking up someone else that, could see that house, but also, again, you'd rather spend your time finding a house that works and meets all the criteria rather than just going to see a house to see a house. I think, that'd be very helpful, is to limit that and to save time.
Yeah. So during a showing, as their agent, what are you trying to help point out? What are you trying to help them see as they're walking through?
Right. So from, years of experience, I can read signs of what they like and don't like by their body language, ask them, encourage them to talk out loud. Of course, be cognizant that now we have, nanny cams, Ring doorbells, there's cameras inside homes, and those need to be disclosed. But, just, again, poker face if you know that stuff's there. At the same time, it's watching their mannerisms, seeing how they react, but also asking questions or stating like, geez, this is, really nice layout. I could see you guys, knowing, because I've already had that interview about their criteria. They like to cook or they like to entertain. This is a great open layout so that, you can be sitting over there and cooking here, and then your friends are, having dinner over there while you're, got the game on or whatnot. Or, they have family and, they like to have the holidays there. Or you got a, big backyard for the dog, or the kids to run around, or whatever it is that meet their criteria. And then just talking out loud, like making sure that they understand that I'm on their side. So we're looking at stuff, and I'm also pointing out, not trying to dissuade, but also saying like, just want to make sure that you notice that crack over there. It's showing that we're not just trying to sell like this is the perfect,
sure,
it's still a used item. But then pointing out like, well, we would have this inspected, or right in the disclosure, it said this, so not to worry. However, just keep that in mind, or you might want to budget down the road for X, Y, and Z. But this is overall a very sound home built in, what year, and then just paying attention to that disclosure, the amenities that really stand out and what they're looking for. And then just understanding, does it meet their needs? And you kind of get that buying indication early on. They want to see the house a little bit more.
Sure.
Otherwise it's like, well, let's move on to the next one.
Okay. So go to the showing. The house is a perfect fit for what they're looking for. Next step would be to write the offer. What's that offer process like?
Yeah. I mean, it really only takes us, just a few minutes to type that up. So it's just understanding from the get-go, okay, well, what are they, how are they financially? So we need to know their loan. We need to know what could they do with that escrow earnest money that I mentioned before. So I like to see $5,000 to $10,000. I want to come in saying, we're strong, we're earnest about this. Yep. And so that amount of money, I remind them, is you'd write a check today that when your offer's accepted, that is deposited in a trust account that remains your money. You'd get it back if you had to get out on inspections, or the house didn't appraise, or for some other reason. It's just to keep you from skipping town. It's to hold your spot such that as long as you perform, you can get it back. You perform forward, it goes towards that deposit that you're putting towards the final purchase price of the home. So it remains your money unless you were to slip up and just skip town, disappear, didn't get back to the seller, and rightfully so, right? It then could revert to them because you kind of wasted their time and opportunity to sell, because there might have been someone else waiting for that. So that is part of the offer. We also walk through, their risk tolerance to inspections. So we mentioned before, when we're going through a property, we assess that it's in good working order. And hey, look at the big stuff. The big ticket items are the roof, heating, electrical, plumbing. Pay attention to the windows that could add up. So a lot of the bigger dollar items, just making sure that that's in the, they're suitable to their needs. If there's other items that are more cosmetic, like, hey, you're going to be painting anyway, so it doesn't matter that that room's pink and purple and turquoise and,
dings in the
like,
wall.
or, floors are scratched a little bit, is, give them an idea. Hey, this is easy to do. But again, John and Mary, you can pick away at a room if this is priced to your liking. And then we would obviously visit that. So we've got most of our terms. We visit pricing. So it's been on the market X number of days. This is what it's listed at. This is what area homes are selling for. So you either need to come in strong, maybe even stronger. And where do we see the market heading? And just give them an idea that it's in a great neighborhood. Scarborough, South Portland, Cape Elizabeth will hold their value. Excellent amenities in the area, so people feel comfortable making that suitable offer. And then just know, if it's subject to inspection, well, you want to make a strong enough offer that your offer gets accepted. If you know that you're maybe the only offer, maybe you can come off of asking, and then just know, try to do your negotiation now. Yes, there might be room on inspection, but if you just kind of do everything right now and could upset the seller, or you come in high hoping, well, I'm going to hit them on the inspection, they don't necessarily have to agree to the inspection. The inspection might be just for informational purposes only. They'll allow you to do it, but they don't plan to negotiate. So you've got to come in with whatever your strategy is, and that's what we would talk over. So yes, I said it takes about 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes of actually typing it up. We could talk 15, 20 minutes to a half hour about strategy and depending on the situation. Are we in a multiple? Are we in just, we know we're the only offer right now? How do we respond from there? And then just, again, setting the expectations, the communication, and how will we communicate to the other broker to make sure that our story is told to the seller such that they consider us strongly for selling their home to us.
Yeah. And as you say all the time, we guide, advise, they decide. So you're going to recommend the strategy you think makes the most sense.
Yep.
But if the buyer doesn't like a part of that or isn't comfortable with a part of that, it's not that they have to do it your way. You're just trying to recommend what they should do.
Yeah. I mean, like we say, it's like, this is the first time they've done that in a few years. We've sold 325 homes every year for the past 3 or 4 years. So we do this every day. They might do it every 3 to 4 years or more.
Yep. All right. So going to contract, congratulations all around. You're under contract, which I know in this market, that's a big deal right now.
Yeah.
They do have an inspection though. So in that case, they're going to hire an inspector,
right?
And they're going to pay for that inspection when it happens. What's that process look like?
Yep. So we recommend a number of inspectors so that they can choose from, work on, if there's a specific type of home or style. Some have a specialty or offer add-ons that they one-stop shop or have to sub out, like a septic inspection or et cetera. So they are, right in the contract, it reads that the buyer at their sole discretion hires and pays for the inspector. So to limit that liability. From there, we meet the home inspector and the buyer at the property. Typically the seller is not present so that you can walk through the home actively, like walk through, talk out loud, comments, recommendations, et cetera. And the home inspector is going room by room, looking at, the walls, the electrical, the ceiling, leaks, the mechanicals, most importantly, the plumbing, electrical, heating, roof coverage, chimney, flashing, fireplaces, making sure that windows open and close, tilt in. If they go up, but they slam down, the danger of that. And marking, even stuff that's $5, $10 repair at Home Depot, and you can do, weekend warriors can fix it so that you're compiling a list. And some of these reports are several pages long, but they'll summarize and talk out loud. And ones with a great bedside manner are saying, well, your electrical outlets are not GFCI protected in the kitchen and bathroom and the basement garage. This is an easy fix. Electrician would know more, but per outlet, it's about this, or, this is an easy fix, just more health and safety related, but just making them aware. And then the more serious stuff, just making that pertinent, that they know in the summary to watch for this, that you want to get this addressed or fixed or ask for money from the seller to fix it at another point in time, or this needs to be done prior to moving into this home. You really should pay close attention to A, B, and C. The other stuff can be budgeted at a later date, or, you've got such and such time left on your roof. Heating system looks good, but service it every year because it, will last a lot longer. But you probably have, 5 to 10 years left of that, and they'll walk you through how long things should last as long as you take good care of them, and just give you a rough idea from that. And you get a report usually the next day so that you can go over that with your agent as to what's most important to you to make this your new home, such that these items are either serviced or at least known about to budget for in the future.
Yeah. So that report kind of becomes the story of the house you're buying.
That's right. Yeah.
This is the exact condition of it right now. Here's the things to be aware of. Here's
Yeah.
what looks good. Here's what may need some attention. And then they're paying for this out of pocket at the time it happens. I know that there can be a wide range of costs there.
Yeah.
Kind of what is a rough average for somebody to expect?
Anywhere from like, I've seen $350 to $500 for a general home inspection, depending on the size of the home, sometimes the area, how far the inspector may have to drive to get there as well. And then again, more size, the size, age of the home has a lot to do with it, based on what they might have a little bit more to handle that makes that, visit to the property longer, generally is what drives that price up.
And then some of the common add-ons would be things like radon testing, sewer scopes, septic testing, water testing.
Right. Yep, exactly.
Okay, perfect.
And then, from there, so you get that report, and where do you go from there is to digest that. Is this still the right house? So you could walk away. You could accept the house as is, or you could renegotiate. So that's where you fill out with your agent what's called an investigation contingency amendment. It says either you're walking away, terminating. We need some more time to investigate a key area, or we would like to have a modification of this agreement. We would like X, Y, and Z replaced, and a credit towards closing costs to help us fix that another time, or go fix this. Otherwise, we walk away.
Okay. Yep. So get through the inspection. And, maybe the inspection's great and you breeze right through, or maybe you've got some things to negotiate. Next step is the appraisal. So how's the appraisal work?
Yep. So an appraiser contacts. So appraiser is hired on behalf of the buyer's lending institution. That's the third party that then goes in and needs to confirm visually that the property is in fact worth the amount that's going to be lended. So an appraiser is taking measurements, taking photos, going to public record, getting the assessment, matching all of that to make sure it's permitted rooms and et cetera, size of septic, everything that qualifies for the property. Taking measurements to then go back and use comparables to make sure, in fact, that the home is worth what it's going to sell for, because that drives what the lender will lend to the buyer. So at the end of the day, then the appraiser is the kind of the final word on how the home is worth $300,000, or it's not $290,000. We're under for $300,000. If you come in at or above value, we're good. The buyer gets that saying, lender said, or the appraiser told the lender, came in at value or above, you're good. Loan's going to get approved given, we've got employment verification and some other things to kind of finish up as we get closer to closing.
Sure.
If it under appraises, that's when we have to kind of revisit, go back to the drawing board a little bit. So let's just hypothetically say $300,000 is sales price. It appraises for $290,000. The bank says, well, can only lend on the loan to value that we said at $290,000, not $300,000 now. So a couple options, or a few. A buyer can make up the difference, $10,000, by bringing more cash to closing. 2, the buyer can walk away. I can no longer get the loan that I had said I would get per the purchasing of the sale agreement. Or 3, renegotiate with the seller saying, well, your home is now, the home I agreed to buy for $300,000 is actually only worth $290,000 per my lender. Can we make up some difference? Either the seller could sell for $290,000 or somewhere in between $290,000 and $300,000. The seller could say, I'm not taking a penny less than $300,000. Buyer could say, can't pay more than $290,000, and we are at a stalemate. However, somewhere in between, we could meet to say, well, we'll forgive. Yeah, you were going to leave the riding lawnmower or whatever. We won't do that, and we'll pay $294,000. Whatever,
Sure.
Some sort of compromise, shall we say?
Perfect. So you get through that, and now you're off to closing. So closing day, which is usually the most exciting day of the whole process.
Yeah. So, or 24 hours before is the final walkthrough.
Sure.
Some day of closing walkthroughs happen where, so in the meantime, between appraisal and the closing, the lender is asking the buyer to continue to provide some documents. W-2s are probably already in, but bank statements, just reaffirming that they are still financially, on board and can satisfy the requirements of the lender. And then there's an employment verification. Of course, we want to know where that money was coming from when they said that W-2 or 1099. Are they still performing that work? They hopefully didn't lose their job or take out another line of credit. So don't go buy another car. Don't go shopping for your furniture. Even those Home Depot cards, or I don't know if Wayfair even does this, but you take out a line of credit, no money down, 18 months free interest, whatever the heck you want to call it, because understanding you're taking on new debt that could change your debt to income ratio. So that your lender will hopefully remind you and slap you upside the head to not do this until you close. After closing, do whatever the heck you want, but get to closing so we don't change our financial situation. So we mentioned final walkthrough. Legally, per the purchase and sale agreement, a final walkthrough can occur up to 24 hours prior to closing with your agent. So you and your agent as the buyer are going into the home to just make sure that is it in broom clean condition, free and clear of all debris, and in acceptable condition per what you saw when you agreed to buy it. They didn't ding a hole in the wall or break a window or remove an item. Had sometimes appliances get changed out or things not be there when they had said. So, typically you want to write all that personal property into a contract, like your appliances. Sometimes there's a squabble over, well, right, is a shed or a TV mount, or there's different, surround sound. I mean, all the stuff these days, there's so many different things like Ring doorbells and Ring Nest thermostats that are, some of those cost a fair amount of money. Mm-hmm. So switching them out with something else, it's like, well, was that what I agreed to when I saw it in the house? And, you put the $20 one on, and that's definitely $150 to $200. It starts to, give you a bad taste in the mouth. Like, what else is going to happen here? So that's why you do a final walkthrough. We've had also clients who have walked into homes and the seller left debris, and, well, I thought you wanted all the paint and leftover tile and the flooring, and, that's cool and all sometimes, but then there are people that have left trash bins and sometimes trash in the bins. And it's like, some stuff where you just you don't want to inherit someone else's problems and issues, or like, we're going to have enough moving and packing stuff that we've got to dispose of, and we've just got everybody else's like trash that they didn't have enough room to put in the containers that you wheel up to the side of the road.
The couch they didn't want to move.
Yeah, or right, or they didn't mow the lawn for a month and a half because since we went under contract they haven't mowed the lawn, and you come in and like, one more thing you have to do. So it comes down to communication and setting expectations and just being in communication with the other agent so that that you're not going to get to, hey, 2 hours to closing and oh crap. And we've gotten some of those calls where, hey, a seller they got busy, they misunderstood, so many things going on that, well, I think just leaving it by the side of the driveway, it'll be fine. And, right, you got that couch and, the dump guy, don't know what they charge, but right, it's a fee, and a buyer has inherited a cost that, come on, I agreed to buy your house, and I've got to pay $500, $600, $700 to dispose of some junk that you had 30 to 45 days to take care of, and so it happens. We laugh it off sometimes, but it can sour the final result. You've had like 5-star experience all the way to here, and what do they remember? The seller who left 15 gallons of paint and all the crap that's like frozen and like lumber, that just, sitting by the side of their garage that, well, I knew it was there, but I did. Yeah. They can burn it or set it by the side of the road. There's excuses. And then there's like, well, just get it done. We agree to the contract, free and clear of all debris, and in the acceptable condition as when they purchased the home or agreed to purchase the home at that time.
Excellent. So walkthrough complete, everything's good, and you're off to the closing date.
Yeah, you head to the closing, and your lender title company will remind you that you need to make sure that you have a photo ID, so acceptable government issued ID, driver's license, passport, whatnot, and a cashier's check. So certified funds, not a personal check, certified funds that knows that it's as good as cash today that they'll accept, made out to the title company to settle the purchase of your home. The rest, if it's a loan, will be, wired in from the lender to close out. And then you'll sign documents that say, I'm taking out a loan. If I pay, I stay. If I don't, I won't. And all of this, goes through in about a half hour to an hour. the seller signs the deed, transferring the property to you as the new owner. You get the keys, hopefully with a smile, handshake, and the house is now yours. You can take possession. So that's also why a home final walkthrough happens 24 hours or even just a few hours prior to closing is those keys are yours. You're set to move in as soon as the closing happens. The seller shouldn't have any need to go back to that home. The property is now yours. So that's why we don't want you to get left with, a trailer full of junk or no trailer, just junk in the yard, tires. And we've seen that, all kinds of stuff in the yard. Yeah. And, so that's one of the reasons why that happens. So it's your property. You can move right in and, just make sure you have everything that you need. Movers are all lined up to get started and move in from there.
Make sure you've got your utilities turned on. Everything's ready to go. And
yeah, that's a big one too. Talking to make sure that those are closed out, that the new owner has them set up in their name.
Yeah, and I know that to a lot of people, we've just been through a lot of stuff. But keep in mind, when you're working with an agent like Jeff or a team like the Matei Group,
right,
you're going to have people that are constantly reminding you about, this is coming up. Make sure we do this. Don't forget about that. This is not something you've got to memorize. You're going to have somebody really kind of coaching you through the process.
Right. Yeah, and we have a team of experts and specialists that help you. So it's like one step at a time. We say, we want to make sure that we set the expectation so you know what's next. What's the next step so that we're calling you, you're not calling us saying, well, what do I do now?
Yep.
We want to make sure that communication is clear and concise. So it's, on to home inspection. Well, next will be the appraisal. Nothing to worry about. Just keep getting all the paperwork that your lender asks for. Don't go buy a new car. Don't go take out any lines of credit. And then just take it from there.
Okay. So that's the buyer side.